There are shows with psychics.
And there are shows with doctors.
But there's no show like The Psychic and the Doc.
Your practical paranormal power unleashed.
This show synthesizes the talents of world-class medium Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer, psychic explorer,
and street smart spiritualist, behavioral psychologist, Dr. Pat Baccili. All subjects are on the table and no topic is taboo. Inspiration, insight,
action, and fun as Mark Anthony connects callers with loved ones in spirit.
In tandem with Dr. Pat's fresh, no-nonsense, street-smart, intuitive insights. And she is hilarious.
Extraordinary problems
require extraordinary solutions, which may come from this side
or the other side. This is The Psychic
and the Doc, and it starts now.
Hey everybody, I want to welcome you to a special edition of The Psychic and the Doc show. And I gotta go change, I have to go change my sweater color. Because it's not the Easter color.
Yeah, it shouldn't be like pink or yellow
I gotta go in the other room and I gotta go get something. I gotta do something different here. I'll do that during break. But because it is, the shows today is about Rise Up. And we decided to pick that theme, but I want to say to everybody that's calling in, we're going to talk for a really little amount of time right now, because we know all of you are waiting. We know this is like super important. And what we want to say is this, Mark, each of us have gone through, I don't know, let's call them difficult times. Let's not, but we've had a moment. I like to say we've had a moment. Even today, I had a moment today. And then there were moments yesterday. It's like a whole lot of moments. But when we think about these things, we have to call on a different energy to rise up. Mark, what is your sense of that?
That's absolutely correct, Dr. Pat. Rise up means so many things in so many ways. Plus, you know, this time of year, people of the Christian faith, the resurrection is rising up. And whether or not you believe it, is certainly an important lesson of light overcoming darkness, rising up from the disasters and the pain of life. For our Hindu friends, it's also this week is Holi, which is a very colorful festival where people go out in public and get pelted by all sorts of colors, and you know, it's a real positive thing. And this time of the year is also equated with a lot of bright colors. That's why Dr. Pat's saying, hey, she needs to go get, you know, different colors on, because colors are a vibrational frequency, and brighter colors, what we call the happy colors, pastels, those type of things, are a higher vibration. So there's a lot to the concept of rise up. And that's one of the reasons Dr. Pat and I do this show, is to help people that are in that pit, that are feeling lonely, grief-stricken. Maybe there's no one else that you feel you can talk to. That's why we're here. We're here to help all of you rise up.
Yeah. And I want to make a note. Mark and I next week, of course, we have other shows we're planning, but I got to tell you all about this. April 8th. Now, that is a total eclipse of the sun. You remember that song, Total Eclipse of the Sun? Like that's like really old school.
Yeah, I remember that song. Yeah.
I remember, right?
Total eclipse, a total eclipse of the heart.
Oh, okay. I made it
whatever,
the
but it's the same thing. Yeah.
but you know, that total eclipse of the heart was taken after the total eclipse, the idea of a solar eclipse, because they're so rare, you know. And so this April, like 4/8/24, and for all y'all numerology people, come on and look at that number, 482024. Okay, what are we talking about? 48 and then 8. This is not just an eclipse. It has so much meaning. It's a spectacle. People are traveling to see this. And this is all part of the energy that you and I are talking about today, Mark. It's that energy where we're trying to, and we are working on building that excitement back in our lives. Now, for you, you're traveling anywhere, everywhere. What's it like to be out there in front of people again?
It's awesome. I love I love connecting with people, being on an audience and being able to just look people in the eye and feel the feedback. And I'll be at the New Living Expo between April 19th and 21st in San Rafael, California. Then the weekend after that, I'll be at the Unity of Tampa for the Edgar Casey Field Conference on Reincarnation. And then May 3rd through the 5th, and I'm speaking on May the 4th, as in May the 4th be with you, at the Edgar Casey Reincarnation Summit. So those are just three of the things I have coming up in the next month. But, you know, like Dr. Pat said, that energy of being before a live audience. But the thing is, that energy, both Dr. Pat and I feel that when people call in to the show, because it may not be, we're not talking, we are talking to a large audience, but when we have a caller, our attention is focused on that one person. Dr. Pat, you got muted.
One of the things I want to say to everybody about this, there's so much that we're going to be talking about in the next month, in the month of April. By the way, April 1st is one of my favorite days ever. But there's a lot we're going to talk about because there's a lot of shifting and a lot of energy. And we're starting to see people really come into their own. And I think, Mark, that's what you've been talking about. You're walking out there in front of people on stage. You're doing things that perhaps you hadn't done in several years. And that's part of what it means to rise up. Of course, we're talking about Easter, but even beyond that, there's an energy that has to do with what does it mean to rise up. And when we do that, the universe responds in kind. And I just want to be really clear about this because sometimes, Mark, folks think we're talking about bodaciously awesome, high spectrum goals.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, for me in my life, there have been certain times in my life where rise up meant get up and make sure you take a shower. Then there was just get up. Then there was just, I can't remember the last time I took a shower. Now, what am I trying to say? You know, I'm not talking about hygiene here. I'm talking about times in our lives where we need to get a little help. That's what this show is about.
Yes. And two things I want to say about that.
Okay.
I was just at the Sedona Ascension Retreat in Arizona, and Dr. Pat, Rocky, and I were floored at how many people came up and said, "I listen to you and Dr. Pat every Thursday." I had some lady come up and hug me and go, "God bless you for the psychic and the doc. It really helps
Wow.
me." And that, let me tell you, that is so touching to hear that. And for people who are in a profound state of grief or depression, what Dr. Pat just said is very profound. Sometimes just getting out of bed, taking a shower, and getting dressed is an accomplishment, because depression, well, you know, no matter how it's caused, but, you know, especially when it's caused by the death of a loved one, is so draining. It
Yep.
makes you, you don't even want to be alive, much less get out of bed. So some days getting up out of bed and getting dressed is an accomplishment.
Well, look, a lot of good things are coming. So, for those of you that just tried to send me a text in, we're going to do a show on the eclipse next week. We're going to talk more about it as we go forward. But yes, Einstein's theory of relativity was proven during an eclipse. So, I just want to be very clear about that. By Arthur Eddington, you know, was the one who did that. There are things we'll talk about, but today it's all about you. Sierra, let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to go right to the phone so that we make sure we get as many calls in as we can. Let's take a short break, everyone. We'll be right back. Love it, love it. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the Psychic and the Doc. And as I said before, we're going right to the phone. Sierra, who do we have first?
Up first, we have Allie from Seattle. Allie from Seattle, you are live.
Hey, Allie, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
Appreciate you
Hey,
both.
how can we help you? Thank you.
Yeah, it's always inspiring. I have a question about basically about work and what might be blocking me from getting back on track since an injury under COVID, and I don't know what's going on. Just
Okay.
trying to
So let it,
recollect,
yeah,
and
Yeah, I
I'm
don't know
I'm
if
not
that's
sure what's going on.
yeah,
Just
if
let
feel
it,
that,
like I'm
let us,
grinding.
yeah,
yeah,
let's see if Mark, if there's a spirit energy, if there's something, someone coming through.
yeah, let me see, because that's not
Sure.
normally the type of thing that I do, Allie, because I'm not a fortune teller. However, if there's a spirit that wants to step forward that may give you some advice, okay. I am getting a
Yeah.
male, and hold on. It's important for not just Allie, but all the callers. When I'm
Yes.
working with a spirit, try not to talk over me or interrupt me. And
Yeah.
the reason for that is it can cause me to lose the connection with the spirit. So kindly wait until I
Mhm.
say, does this make sense or do you recognize that? Okay. So I am picking up on a male energy connected to you. He feels like he's on the parent level. This could be a father, this could be an uncle, or some type of like teacher, boss, or mentor who's coming through. And what I'm getting with him is prior to his passing, I get the sense of exhaustion. He was very weak, very tired. I feel that his lungs just were filled with fluid. So this could be a congestive heart failure, pneumonia, or some other disease or problem with the lungs. And I'm also getting, oh my gosh, a lot of pain in the low back, hips, legs. This poor guy, he was having a real hard time moving around, walking. And it feels like he was declining, and he definitely knew that he was going to pass, but he did still have his mental clarity about him. Do you recognize, or does this person sound familiar to you, Allie?
Absolutely. Yes, that's my father.
Okay, so see, you wanted advice, and here's Dad. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Oh wow. He's coming right out of the box, and he's showing a block right in front of you, and he said that block is your own fear. He said your fear and your self-doubts, and he said he's not chastising you or putting you down for it. He said though, but this has been building up for a while, and he said you've always second guessed yourself. You always doubted yourself. And he said that, or saying that it's time for you to let that go. You are extremely capable. You are very competent. And he said that you have to, instead of looking at this fear and self-doubt as something pulling you back, instead look at it as something that motivates you, Dr. Pat, this sounds like a perfect segue
Yeah.
opening for only Dr. Pat can get
Yeah.
this.
I want to ask you a couple of questions. Thank you for that, Mark. I want to ask you a couple of questions. You said you got injured. Was it like an accident, sports? What was it? You said I was injured. I haven't quite been the same since I've been injured.
Yes, I had a work injury
Okay.
just when COVID began,
Okay.
and I had to continue working with that injury, so I've been vacillating part-time under COVID, in a field that isn't really suited for me physically, and then trying to get back on track on some just different type of work that is more of
Yeah.
what I did before this.
Yeah. So here's the thing that I love about this. Sometimes things happen to us in life. In your case, you had an injury, but I suspect you were probably having a conversation with yourself before the injury. Tell me if I'm right or wrong on this, but there was a conversation you may have been having with yourself before the injury about whether you were okay with what you were doing for a living. Was that going on before
Hmm.
the accident?
Yes, for sure. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to explain why things pop up and happen the way they do. If I had not lost my job after 24 and a half years with the same company under the weirdest of sort, really just bizarro, right? I don't have time to really go into the deep, but just bizarre. Had that not
Hmm.
happened, I would have never gone back to school. I wouldn't have got the severance from them. I wouldn't have packed myself, moved to Seattle. I wouldn't have applied to other doctoral programs. I wouldn't have. You see, I wouldn't have. I would have stayed at that job in New
Hmm.
Jersey, probably retired, Not sure what I'd be doing. I can't exactly say, but I will tell you, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. So, what I would encourage you to do, if you can find the place to be grateful for whatever that experience was, because there's a door that opened for you. Now, just because a door
Mhm.
opened, it doesn't mean your mind is open for it. You see?
Yeah.
So, if you look at this as, wow, I've got so many options, the block will disappear. It will dissipate. It will evaporate. The very notion of saying, I have so many options. I don't have to decide today, but I have a lot of options, right? You see what I'm saying to you, Allie? When you
Mhm.
enter into that
Yeah.
zone, and that is the zone of possibilities. When you enter into that zone, all this other stuff starts to fade away, right? It's like watching a wall being painted and then a thunderstorm hit and the wall and the paint just runs down the wall. It just dissipates. That's what I want you to think about doing. Try to enter a new space with how you're looking at this and just give it about 7 days and just write down the ideas that come up. Don't make any decisions. Just observe yourself.
Mhm.
Can you do that?
Yes, for sure. Yes. Yes, I
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. Can't
I will
see
do
it
that.
now.
Mhm.
You know, you could have never told me, oh, geez, you're going to like do this. Then you're going to go to school. Then you go to more school. Then you're going to go to Seattle, like from Jersey to Seattle. I would have looked at you like you're crazy. But I'm just trying to tell you to just open the door to allow your mind to open a little bit. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Write every idea down. Don't be like, that's a silly idea. No, just write them down. And after 7 days,
Mhm.
take a look at them all. Got it?
Mhm. Yes,
All right.
absolutely.
Good.
I will.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you both so much.
You
It's
bet.
really, really helpful and inspiring.
Well, you got to call back and let us know because I think there's something exciting going to go on for you.
I will. I sure will.
Thank you. Wow.
Wow, that was great. Say, I love working with Dr. Pat because you laid things out and helped her develop a plan. Okay, and so Dr. Pat is an expert. She's not going to tell you what to do, but she's going to get you to figure out to tell you what to do, and that's really important. Yeah, well, I mean,
It
messages come
is.
through from spirits, and then having the benefit of Dr. Pat helping you understand what they mean is
Mhm.
invaluable. So I'd say let's go to another call. What do
Let's
you
do
think?
it. Thank you. Sierra, who do we have?
Up next, we have Vinny from Las Vegas. Vinny, you are live.
Hi, Vinny. Welcome to the show. How can we help you today?
Hi, how are you?
Awesome. How are
Glad to
you?
be on. Good.
Cool.
I got two real quick questions that I need to ask if you can answer them. One, okay, all my life, okay, I've never been married, and the reason was every time I've dated somebody, I always got this fear that came over me, and I just would stop seeing them, and I want to know, why did I get this fear? Where does it come from?
And what's
What's
number
the
two?
second question?
Yeah.
I want to hear the
The
second
second
question too.
question, the second question is, does any of my guides or anyone, any spirits see where I am in the next year or more?
Well, here's what we'll do. You know what Mark does, he talks to and brings spirit energy and messages in from those that have transitioned. So let's see who's going to come through for you, okay? And then I'll take the second
Awesome.
part of the question with a very brief answer. Go ahead.
Hey Vinny,
Okay.
I'm getting a female energy coming through, and this woman, she looked like she was middle-aged, but like probably in her 60s, maybe around 70. So she was, I guess, at the latter part of being middle-aged when she passed. And I feel a lot of swelling in her body. Now, the swelling could be fluid retention, it could be inflammation. And I'm getting this really strange numb sensation in my throat. So she was having a lot of difficulty with her throat, with her tongue. And I feel nauseated. Okay. Now the nausea, Vinny, indicates that she could have been having difficulty eating and or holding down food prior to passing. Nausea is oftentimes a cancer indicator. Doesn't always mean cancer, but here I have a suspicion that it is, because first off, I got the inflammation, the swelling, and now in her lower abdominal and in, vaginal area, I'm feeling immense amount of pain. So she could have been having cervix or uterine, ovarian type cancer, colon cancer. This poor lady was in a lot of distress and discomfort prior to passing, but she also had her wits about her. She was mentally sharp, and she was pretty heavily medicated toward the end. And based on the physical sensations I'm experiencing, that was a very good thing. Do you recognize this person?
Yes, I do. Should I tell you who I think it is?
Just the relationship, not her name. Yes, sir.
Mother.
Yeah, I feel mother energy coming through. Hold on. Oh, the fear and the relationship. So hold on. Your mother is telling me that, well, first off, she loves you very, very much. All right. She said that, did somebody, it could have been her, could have been someone else. I know your name is Vinny, but I keep hearing Vin. Did somebody ever call you something like Vin?
I think so. Yeah, a few people.
Okay. So she's
Good.
mentioning that. And she's also saying that, this is a very complicated message. Number one, you had a great relationship with your mother. That's the sense that I'm getting. Great relationship in that you loved her, she loved you. You also put her on a pedestal. You looked up to her. And she said, without meaning to, you hold every woman, every relationship that you meet to that high standard. Now, this is not some weird Oedipal complex thing, and Dr. Pat could explain that better than I can. This isn't like, oh, I'm looking for mommy. It's that you hold women to a very high standard, and the fear comes from you don't feel that you can live up to that standard. And she said that's where this fear is coming from. So you're feeling, I hate using the word insecure, but how about ill-equipped, unprepared for the commitment to rise up to that level. That's what I'm getting. Dr. Pat, I think this is the perfect segue for your advice.
So
That's a
thank you.
possibility.
Yeah, it's a possibility. And I want to just say there's not enough time for me to really go into it. It's not unusual. I just want to be very clear. It's not unusual for people, especially in the times we live in, to really be shy of relationship commitments. And marriage is that, I mean, it is that. Our
Right.
society says it's that. And so that's not really uncommon. But only and this is really, if you really want to overcome this, you're going to have to spend some time and really get underneath it. Because the fact that you said you're afraid, that's the tip of the iceberg. If you can imagine a picture of an
It's fear.
iceberg, and there's the tip. And the tip is like,
It's fear
oh,
overcomes.
yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, I see an iceberg. Oh,
It's-
but we're a little
Yeah,
bit
is
close.
this the
And then
one?
the Titanic
Shit,
hits
you
it.
know?
Yeah. But here's what I
Yeah.
want you to listen to me, because this is important.
Okay.
You
All right.
have to decide if you really do want to be in a relationship. Because if you don't
Right.
want to be in a relationship, then I'm sure you could spend your time on something else. Right? But if you do want to be in a relationship, I would go get some help on this, because the
I
fact that
gotcha.
you said it's happened to you multiple times, right?
Yes.
There
Yeah.
could be something that was very traumatic to you as a child, and it wouldn't be ethical for me to try to approach that with you tonight. But I will say to you that when I see patterns of this, when I work with other people, there usually is something underneath that. And
Right.
you deserve to find out what that is. So I would go try to find and get some help. I'm sure you'd be able
I
to get some help on that.
I thought of that too, going to
Yeah.
see a
Yeah,
shrink or
I would do
whatever.
it. Now, remember what I said to you. That's if you want to be in a
Yeah,
relationship. Go start
exactly,
now.
exactly.
Go start now. It's
And I
springtime.
want
Vinny, it's
I want to
springtime.
tell Mark. I want to tell Mark he was pretty much on the nose there with the throat and everything.
Yes.
Because my mother had lymphoma, and
Yeah.
she had
Oh,
all kinds of things on
oh,
her neck,
yeah.
and she
Wow.
previously had cancer of the the female parts.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when she
Yeah.
was
Wow.
younger, yeah. And
So,
so he
Vinny,
was
look,
right.
yeah.
She had
And
a hard
I
time
got to tell
breathing.
you, I'm giving you your mission if you choose to accept it. Okay. Now
Okay,
that is go
but
get yourself some help. And there are lots of
did
people,
did
especially where you live, especially where you
yeah,
live. I know
did
some
Mark
great
see?
people there. Yeah.
Did Mark
I,
say anything about the next year coming? Anyone coming through saying where
yeah,
I'm going? Anything different?
we don't do year predictions like that, but I will tell you
Yeah,
this. I'm going to make
yeah,
a prediction. Here's my prediction.
yeah.
If you want to
What
be
is
in a
it?
relationship and you don't get this figured out, my prediction is it
Mhm.
won't happen.
Yep.
I got you.
That's my
Hey
prediction.
guys,
Thank you, Vinny.
I
All right.
really
Thanks,
appreciate
Vinny.
it. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Vinny.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. I love this because, people always ask me about relationships
Yeah.
and the first question out of my mouth is, okay, do you really want one? And they look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, no, I mean, like, no, it's not like you're walking by the dish of M&Ms and you're like, I think I have an M&M. No, you're walking by the M&M, you have to commit that you want that M&M.
Yeah.
And
When
then
I
you
was
have to think about going back for that M&M.
when I was
So
practicing law, I'd get people in my office. There'd be a couple there, and they'd have like 4 or 5 children, and I'd say,
yeah.
"Well, how long have you been married?" "Oh, we're not. I can't handle commitment." Okay, wait a second. You can't handle commitment, so you'll just have 5 children together, And commitment is such a difficult thing for a lot of people,
Yeah,
and
I wouldn't say it.
yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. There's a reason I studied psychology, people. Let's go to the let's go to the phones here.
Up next, we have Susan from Orlando. Susan, you are live.
Hi, Susan. Welcome to the Psychic and the Doc. How you doing? What can we do for you today?
Happy to be here. I'm going through a really wonderful spiritual expansion, and I just want to hear from my loved ones on the other side what they think
Okay.
about it.
Oh, let's get rolling on this, Mark.
Susan, immediately I'm picking up on the spirit of a boy, a little boy, and he looks to be, gosh, maybe 5. So this could indicate you or someone close to you lost a little boy, because he's in spirit. He was cute. The those perfect creamy cheeks. He had light brown hair, and I feel that his passing was not a quick event. There was an illness that came on. Like, he seemed like a very healthy, happy child, and then all of a sudden, like, this tragic illness took him down, and it seems like it hit him pretty rapidly. I'm getting the sense this could even have been like a leukemia, like a childhood leukemia. Do you recognize this child?
My daughter had a very close friend who had a son like that who passed about that age from
Okay, so
leukemia.
from leukemia.
Okay.
So that little boy is coming through, even though that's not a relative of you or your daughter. He is still connected. Let's see why he is coming through. I get it, because you indicated that you're on a spiritual journey, and he said part of your spiritual journey is realizing that no one is ever left behind. And not for a second will this boy's parents, forget or trivialize or minimize his passing. It's not about that. He said it's about you. It's about you understanding
Mm-hmm.
that everyone is deserving of attention, of respect, of remembrance. This is pretty intense. Also, he's pointing out a significant, could be a birth, death, anniversary, or event, which may be connected to you or someone close to you, Susan, between December 26th to January 5th. I know that's a very specific time frame, but what's happening is I'm seeing and smelling a bayberry candle. And in my family, we always burned bayberry after Christmas. So it's like the day after Christmas up through possibly January 5th. Are there any significant
My daughter
birthdays?
was born December. My daughter was born December 28th.
Okay, interesting. And this little boy is a friend of your daughter's
Yes,
son. Oh, okay. This indicates to me that your daughter is instrumental to your new spiritual, I'm going to call it your spiritual renaissance. That's the term that's coming to me, renaissance. And that's interesting too, because we're talking about rise up and resurrection, and renaissance literally means rebirth. So,
Yes.
how is your daughter connected to this? And then I'll turn you over to Dr. Pat.
Yeah.
She is very psychic, very sensitive, and was very aware of this child and all that he went through. And his mother was her best friend, starting from 3rd grade on through the rest of her life.
So please let your daughter know to transmit to her friend how the little boy wants his mommy to know that he knows she hasn't forgotten him. He knows she still loves him and that he loves her too.
Mhm.
And also, how is your daughter instrumental to your spiritual journey? That's the question I was getting at. But
Yeah.
but I'm glad, because the little boy wants to get a message through to his mom. And what will happen? A spirit's going to get hold of you one way or the other. And when someone like me is around, they're going to pop in and do that. And he needs to get hold of his mom. And he knows that you're on a good spiritual path. But what is going on with your daughter as being part of your spiritual renaissance?
I'm gonna have to get in touch with her and find out, because I'm not sure at this point.
Good. Yeah.
But I will do that.
Okay. Mark, that was genius. So, Susan, I have a really short message for you. First of all, congratulations. Now, why am I saying that? There are those of us that came late to the party. See, when Mark was at the party early, I'm talking about the spiritual party. So, but there were those of us that had to go through many, 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 many things. But when you came on the show and declared for yourself, do you remember what you said when you came on here, Susan?
Then I've been going through a spiritual expansion.
And what did you ask for?
Loved ones on the other side who are
Messages. Yep.
what they're thinking of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's put this together in a linear way for the whole audience to just hear this. What do you think is happening when somebody calls in, asks for a sign, a message, who has said yes to a spiritual path? I'm just going to call it that for you, Susan, because you don't need to share stuff on air, okay? But so what do you think happens on a show like this? When Mark immediately connects to a third-party person who knows a third-party person on your end. You see, you showed up with what I called spiritual opening.
Yes.
I do work called Street Smart Spirituality, and what you just did is you wrote the book on Street Smart Spirituality right here. And I'm telling you, if I could give a street your name, like Street Susan, this is the Susan Spiritual Street, I would do it, but I want you to recognize it, because here's what I want to say, and I'm going to leave you with it, Mark, and I think you'll agree with this. When you say yes to a spiritual expansion, you have to own that it's already there and it's happening for you, and just keep going. Just keep going. You're going to be hit with doubt. You may be hit with some friends like Mark and I have been, that we're going to look at you and say, what's that show you're doing? What's that show called?
Have you joined a cult? One of
So
them said that he was joking.
what I'm trying to say is just keep remembering I'm on a spiritual expansion journey. I'm on a spiritual expansion journey. That's the only answer you need to give if you choose to give any at all, okay?
Okay, I'm having a wonderful time, and I got to see Mark being interviewed by Alex Ferrari, and it was great.
Good job, Mark. He's so
Well,
good, isn't he? I
God.
mean,
He is
I mean,
wonderful.
Susan, this is one of these deals where I know Mark talks a lot about me, but I gotta tell you, I never thought in a million years that I'd even be able to hold one fingernail of my own with somebody like Mark Anthony. I'm not kidding. And it's
Well,
such an honor that we get to do this and be able to be of service to you. You see? Because
yes,
I'm in awe about what
him to
he
know.
does.
I wanted him to know that there's a woman who started a modern widows club, and at the Unity Church we are having a Zoom meeting, and Tuesday night or Monday night I was able to introduce them to Mark's books and his website, and one of the people's
Wow.
even on the call tonight, listening, and so we're very grateful that he's going to be able to help people that he doesn't even know,
I love
because
that.
his message is getting out there. It's wonderful.
Well, I appreciate
Thank you,
that.
Susan.
And you know, working with Dr. Pat is such an honor, because a lot of times when I deliver a message, people don't immediately understand it. And then here's Dr. Pat. She goes, hold on, let's look at it like this, because she's not personally and emotionally involved, or she's the one communicating. Because when I'm working with spirits, I got a lot going on. I'm talking to the caller, I'm talking to them, you know, and then we're doing the show, and I'm talking to Pat and the producer, and you know, so we got a lot going on here. But to have a behavioral psychologist, and not just a behavioral psychologist, but Dr. Pat, who's got an amazing and very difficult life, which has given her this tremendous skill set, but she's able to not only get the meanings, but also to help people understand the metaphors, because a lot of messages from spirits are highly symbolic. And things will come through, like I'll say, I'm getting this, and Dr. Pat goes, well, that traditionally means this. And I'm like, well, I didn't know that. But then all of a sudden it starts resonating with the caller. So thank you very much, Susan, for calling in, and many blessings to you.
Yeah, and please thank your
Perfect
book group.
message.
Please thank your
Yes.
book group if you don't mind. Thank you. Oh wow.
Yes.
I just love this tonight. Thank you,
Yeah,
Susan.
yeah.
Wow, Sierra, who do we
You're-
have next?
Up next, we have Michael from Seattle. Michael from Seattle, you are live.
Hi, Michael.
Hi.
Hello? Are you there, Michael? Yes.
Hi, this is Michael.
Hi, Michael. How can we help you today?
In the last 2 to 3 years, very much, a lot of my wife and I, what we've been doing, our kind of world has fallen apart quite a bit. And we've also lost very, very important people in our lives. And hard to find an intelligent path to move forward.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, we're so sorry.
Yes.
You know, I don't think Mark and I have any words that could really fill the deepness of the hollow space that you may be feeling right now. But we will try to help you tonight in several ways. You represent millions of people, not in the same way, but that have such painful experiences these past couple of years. Let's see if someone's coming through, Mark, if you could.
Michael, as soon as I started to hear your voice, I felt a spiritual connection, and I keep hearing the word Marie, and not the word, the name, Marie, Marie, Marie. Is there a Marie, could be a Mary, but is there a Marie of significance connected to you either in this world or in spirit?
Not that I can think of.
That's okay. I want you to hold that thought.
Yeah.
Because Marie could also be an indicator for the month of May, because all the variations on the name Mary stem from the Old Testament, Moses' sister Miriam. But May is dedicated to Mary, the mother of Jesus. So a lot of times when I hear a Mary or a Marie, it could mean like a Mary, Margaret, Marilyn, Marianne, or a significant birth, death, anniversary, or event. Birth, death, anniversary, or event connected to you or someone close to you in some way in May. Is there anything with May?
My father's birthday.
Is he in spirit?
Correct.
Okay, so let's get your dad in here. Okay, so I am getting a male energy coming through, and ow, my knees are really hurting. Okay, wow, woo. So this gentleman, and maybe your dad, it could be somebody else, but it feels like a dad, an energy, but it feels like my knees are just grinding. So this indicates this gentleman was definitely having difficulty walking prior to passing, but it seems like throughout his life, he may have had a history of knees, knee problems, knee injuries. I'm also getting a very uncomfortable sensation in his lower GI tract, colon, prostate area as well. I feel a nauseated sensation indicating to me that he was having difficulty eating or holding down food prior to passing. Nausea, as I indicated earlier, could be a cancer indicator. Doesn't always mean that it is. And I do get this massive pressure buildup and pain in my head. Wow, this poor guy, he had a lot going on with him physically, and the pressure buildup in the head, that could be a stroke, could be heart attack, could be high blood pressure or something else going on, but I'm getting like this surge of blood pressure into my head. Does any of this make sense to you connected to your dad or another male connected to you in spirit in any way, Michael?
An uncle who had difficulty with his legs. My papa passed by. He had multiple strokes near the end.
So that would be the surge of blood pressure in the head, because that's one of my indicators for strokes. Was your dad after the strokes having a hard time walking?
No. I mean, he faded. He was in the very end of his life. He was just so weak.
Okay, I'm just going to go with that, and let me just get to him giving you some advice. Okay, hold on. Wow. Now, got to take this. He means this in a very, very positive way, although it may not initially feel that way. He's explaining to you that you, your wife, your family, you have to go through this period of difficulty. It's like you've been walking along a road, and all of a sudden you're walking into a pond, and now you're up to your neck in the water in the pond, but you still have to go forward to get to the other side and gradually emerge from it. He's explaining to you that your entire life has led up to this, all of your experiences, all of your skill set. He said it's taking everything you two have and then some to get through this. But during this period of turmoil and trial, you're going to emerge resurgent and stronger than before. He said, although there are days you feel like you're going underwater and you're never going to come up, he said, you have to realize that is temporary, and you will emerge from this. You will emerge from this. And then he showed me a bicycle and the bicycle chain. Yeah, how bicycle chains fall off. And look, I'm sure every one of us that have had a bicycle had the chain come off. This could be a metaphor, like right now you're riding your bike and the chains come off and you just feel like you're spinning your wheels, unless there is some type of memory involving a bicycle and a bicycle chain that is resonating with you. Is there anything there before I turn you over to Dr. Pat? And here's the thing, Michael, don't overthink it or overanalyze it. If I
Mhm.
say bicycle chain, go
Yeah.
with the first thing it hits you, no
Mm.
matter how weird it is. Because part of blocking messages is overthinking, overanalyzing, and delaying. Go with what hits you first. That's how this works. Bicycle chain. What comes to mind immediately?
I think the description that you said is kind of spinning my wheels right now. It's been a year with nothing happening. Just
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Dr.
Okay.
Pat.
Okay, I want to be able to help you here. I'm going to have you backtrack for a second. You said both you and your wife were going through this period of grief. Is that correct?
correct.
Things were kind of coming apart. I think that's the language you used. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Sometimes I tend to paraphrase. I think psychologists do that. But I just want to ask you, did you describe that as you and your wife were going through this period for about a year now, and it was coming apart? You feel like you're coming apart, both of you are coming apart over this situation. Is that correct?
That and then losing people
Okay.
also during this time period
Okay.
that are
So
very
let me
fundamental.
talk to you. Yeah, let me talk to you about it. And I know we only have a few minutes left, but I'm going to try to be really quick and get to it. Unfortunately, and all of my colleagues, y'all can email me tomorrow about what I'm about to say. Just do it. Unfortunately, and it's made Mark and I really think about this. We have gone through the past 4 years as if nothing has happened. You see what I'm saying? It's like those of us that have lost people, and I'm not saying it's related to the past 3 years, it doesn't have to be. There was an energy that happened during the pandemic, and it's an energy. I don't even want to get into what it was. I'm just going to call it an energy where we never knew from day to day. We never knew. Now, apparently, the people you lost close to you, Michael, is that correct? Very close to you?
Yes.
Were they related to you or were they friends? It's important because it'll guide exactly what
Related.
I'm going to say. Related.
Yeah.
Direct family,
Correct.
children.
Yes.
Okay. I had to ask because I had a feeling about that. We cannot find the words to explain what that feels like.
No.
I've said this so many times on this show and other shows, and Mark, you've said it.
Yeah.
It is so, parents should not lose their children. We've said it, but it happens. So I want to try to help you by getting you both to help yourself. Okay. Do you feel strong enough, Michael, for you and your wife to reach out to a group of people where you live? I think you live in my area, I believe. You live in the Pacific Northwest. Is that correct, Michael?
Yes.
We have
In the Seattle.
I know, right? Down the street from me, I bet. We have so many resources here. And I think, Mark, we need to think about doing a show about this because we're Michael, there are so many resources here. There are spiritual groups. I don't know what your spiritual practice is, but I know when I lost somebody very close to me, it was hard for me to have any spiritual practice.
Yeah.
But would you seriously think, if you do nothing else at all, I'm not going to tell you to go ride a bike or anything. I'm going to ask that you both consider getting some help from some great people here, really great professionals, not just from, the mind and the psychology, but spiritual help, clearing. We have so many people here, Michael, that do energy clearing. It's just great. Would you be open to that if you haven't done it already?
Yes.
And if I may, sorry, Dr. Pat, I mean,
Sure.
I agree 100,000% with Dr. Pat. Absolutely do that. Michael, are you and your wife a member of Helping Parents Heal?
I've looked at the site.
Definitely, I work with them. I cannot recommend Helping Parents Heal enough, because that's what they do. And being part of Helping Parents Heal, and also what Dr. Pat's saying with the spiritual
Yeah.
guidance, those things are going to go hand in hand,
Yeah.
because now the message that your father sent about you going underwater and trying to keep your head above it, the
Yeah.
chain, the bicycle could be symbolic of losing a child, because children, when riding bikes and all of that, it's all starting to come together. And you made a very important step calling in here
Really did.
tonight. And I know we're running short on time, and I think
Yeah.
Dr. Pat will agree with me. Please call in again.
Yes,
Okay.
please do it, Michael. And can I just tell you the weirdest thing that happened on a sidebar note for both of you? When you're talking about the knees. Now, Michael, this is how I know we're on to something. You're talking about knees, and I'm just listening so I can be prepared. I get a pop-up screen. You can't plan these things, Michael. Okay, so just bear with me. I get a pop-up screen that pops up for this product I never heard of. I think it's called Nooro, Nooro, which is a 3-in-1 leg massager. How do you plan something like that? You don't. So what I take in, Michael, is you've got to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. And in order for you to build up the muscles that are both on the outside and the inside, please don't try to take the journey alone. I know you sound like you're a really strong person.
Yes.
But please reach out and get some help, okay?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and
Please.
Michael, Dr. Pat and I are here for you.
Yep.
Please call back, and you can have your wife on the call if she'd
Yep.
like, because that's why we're doing this show.
That is why
Because-
we're doing it.
Yeah, and because Dr. Pat, what she said is absolutely correct. Don't go through this alone.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for. Helping Parents Heal is here for. There are many people that are there to help you. Nobody can understand what you're going through because this is your pain, but that doesn't mean we can't help.
Yeah. I want to just give a shout out to Tony in Australia. Thank you for sending your text. Mark and I will spend more time on this. If Sierra were to copy this, we'll spend more time on the next show, but I do have a message for you. I've often I'm telling you, Mark, you and I both, we often shake our heads because we don't understand the events of the world. We don't understand the loss and the grief. Sometimes we don't. But what I've come to know personally in my own journey and my spiritual journey and my beliefs that I have in, whether you want to call it God, spirit energy, what I've come to know, having had a mom who committed suicide when I was 6 years old, what I've come to know in my life is it doesn't take the grief away. But what I don't have to do with that is live a life and mourn. And is no easy answer for you, but I want to tell you there's light at the end of the tunnel. And by the way, you've already told us that in your text. So here's my last message. Butterflies and dragonflies, in case you don't know, they are 2 of the transformation totems. They're begging you. They're begging you. This is not about you cutting yourself off from the grief or not really experiencing that. But what it might be for you, because you're having a bunch of strange things. Tony's got a bunch of strange things
Yeah,
here, lights
so-
going off and the whole thing.
He's getting signs from the other
You're
side.
getting signs from the other side. And Mark, you have said this a million times. When people pass over, they don't pass over with their pain, right?
Correct.
And I think, would you share a quick message for Tony in Australia right now about that?
Absolutely. Tony, when the spirit, what I call the electromagnetic soul, leaves the body, what dies with the body is the mental, the physical pain. Spirits are never in pain because they're pure energy. Energy never gets sick, old, tired, or die. However, those of us left behind, we're the ones that experience this. As my mother said, she was infinitely wise, said, death isn't sad for the one who died. It's only sad for those who are left behind. She
Boy.
said, but have have courage and have hope, for we will be reunited with our loved ones when it is our time to leave this world and we enter the light.
Thank
So,
you all for
thank
tuning
you.
us in, turning us on, Mark. That was perfect. All of you are the best listeners on the planet. We've got a lot planned for you. Please, please be well and do this one thing. If you can possibly do it, find one thing, even in your grief, to be grateful about. We'll see you next time. Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning into The Psychic and the Doc with Mark Anthony and me, Dr. Pat Baccili, right here on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Hey, look, come back next week so we can explore with you more of life's many challenges and learn from fascinating guests. And you know what? Even Mark and me. We'll connect you and discover insights from people in this life and from the afterlife. Extraordinary problems? Yeah, they do. They require extraordinary solutions. But step into the world of possibilities with us on The Psychic and the Doc. That's every Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on TransformationTalkRadio.com. That's TransformationTalkRadio.com. And don't forget, we're also live face-to-face on Facebook.com, Transformation Talk Radio.